I know
Got
that.
onto it.
I think we're on YouTube.
Are we?
We are
Oh.
on YouTube,
Well, if only-
which means
It's
Makeup with Stephanie.
on
We
this
keep getting in the dark, deep
beautiful
abyss.
Friday. He's probably going to pick one that he's already picked 12 times because that's usually how.
There's
goes.
one way in the bottom. This was in the bottom. Here you go. Which is this one?
Oh, this one is the Stella All Day Liquid Lipstick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that keep you hot all day?
No.
Darn.
Yeah. I mean, they say it does, but I mean, does it? I think it's like a lip stain, though. This one's cool.
What's the
I got
difference?
it in one of these. I used to get these little makeup boxes. They were like $10 a month for the subscription. And they would send you little samples like this and like perfume ones.
What's
really
the
cool.
difference between a lipstick and a lip stain?
A stain, you put it on and like you can wipe it off, and then it stays there. Like it doesn't come off. Like it stains your lip. I mean, they say it does, but
Ever?
still have yet to find one. They're cool though. They're alright. That one's alright. You did good. Good pick.
Well, thank you. Wow, I got a slight compliment there.
Yeah.
Moving up in the
It
world.
was. Let's not get carried away here.
I won't.
Okay.
You'll bring me back down real fast.
I will. I think I already did.
Here we go. Yeah.
My beating stick. I love it. Anyways, that's Makeup with Stephanie. And your lip stain stick. I
Lip
don't
stain
remember what it was.
stick. Well, I just wondered what the hell a lip stain.
No, it stains your lips. And that way you can put like a clear
So
lip.
like a paint stain?
Yeah, it's like a shirt stain. You know those.
Yeah, I'm an expert at that. Every shirt I got's got a stain on it.
I know this one doesn't though. I was looking
Well,
for one.
this
I
is
wanted
probably
to point
pretty
it out.
new.
Oh no, we got some up here.
Yeah,
Never mind.
see, I told you. There, you look far enough.
It's like that.
I think they come out of the package with a stain on them.
You know what? They probably do.
Yes,
think you're
because
right.
I could not do that. I bet
I know.
you.
How the hell do you get a stain up here?
I don't know. I can get a stain on a as soon. Like I say, I think if they aren't, as soon as I pull them out of the package, they got a stain on
It
them.
has a nice crease to it though. I'm impressed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Second
new shirt.
compliment of the day. Something's
It's a
going
new shirt.
wrong here.
I'm not feeling well.
Of that. Yeah, something's screwed.
Yeah, something's just not right. Yeah, we're ready.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on IE Newswire, on YouTube, and Facebook. Not that there isn't anything going on today. I mean, did you notice anything, any news, or was it a relatively quiet day today, Steph?
I mean, most days seem like it's Groundhog's Day, other than our dip. Ooh. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop
and I know
talking
who
to
you
them.
were referring to because the hot news of the day.
I think that's why I'm grumpy.
d-
I mean, it can't be you.
wow, third compliment of the day. I got
Right.
2 on the YouTube broadcast. You're gonna have to tune in to find out.
He
what
forced me to say them.
of that. We got that later on today. One of the highlights of that, we'll have Gino Manzerres from, he's a rider, longtime SoCal guy out here in the IE that's rode Speedway for many years. Perris Speedway, the Speedway track, the one out on the west end of town, will be running Saturday night. You will...
Really?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yes. They're
What?
back. They're back in business.
Nice.
Of that, and we'll be on later on in the show on that. But as I said, the aforementioned news of the day, we'll get to that that because it was all
It's gonna make me grumpy again.
it was all anticipated, and
And I don't even get what happened. You know, he was like a freaking hamster. I On a damn wheel. He made no sense. You're talking about going back to school, and then you're like not going back to school. But then if we do go back to school, here's what we're going to do when we go back to school. But it's for the safety of the children. We're not going to go back to school. But if you do go back to school, make sure you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's break down all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 20 minutes. But we're not going back to school. Did I cover it?
So what office are you running for now? 'Cause you got the political lingo down. Keep them totally guessing and confused. Never say anything, but just keep talking. And you summed it up perfectly. That's about what Gavin Newsom did.
That's exactly what he did. I don't even know what the hell's going on.
Of that, no, to put it in a sum up, and we're gonna do the first video we have here coming up on the agenda. But no, he basically has locked down the schools. I've been telling you that since March. I said schools as you knew them prior to March of 2020 are over. And this is just a continuation building block. They're just slowly walking everyone, the vast majority of people, down into this. So in case, here's the pertinent one this is Gav Newsom at his press conference at noon today on the deal as we're fighting over the airplane controls and everything over here. But here we go with old Gav.
Open your schools. However, schools that don't meet this requirement, they must begin the school year this fall through distance learning. Number two, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. Number two, we're putting forth a new mask requirement in the state. All school staff and students, all staff and students in third grade and above must wear masks. Students in the second grade or below, we strongly background spread, the community spread of the virus, that if you are not on that monitoring list, you can move forward as a county if you choose to
Okay, right there. If you're not on that list, and I wanted to do that, if you're not on the list, which is only about 20 very small counties in California, your kids are going to go to school with masks on that. Mind you, no Southern California county is on this list that's going to be opened up. So if you're on one of the 33 counties, which includes all of Southern California and most everybody listening to us, this is the key point coming up.
Physically open your campus, physically open your schools. However, schools that don't meet this requirement, they must begin the school year this fall through distance learning. Number two, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. Number two, we're putting forth a new mask requirement in the state. All school staff and students, all staff and students in third grade and above must wear masks. Students in the second grade or below, we strongly encourage wearing masks and face shields. I have a very young...
There you go. And further clarification that came into that, it was a little bit muddy when it got to the question and answer, but it sounded like, and it's going to need some more follow-up, it sounded like if you're in second grade below and you're not wearing masks because they're strongly just encouraging it, if you get to go back to school anytime within the next 6 years, you will be. We can shut the school down if they're not wearing masks. So really the mask requirement, I think, is going to be a mandate from kindergarten to K-12. They're just throwing this little caveat out because of this. They have no science to back any of this up, any credible science to back any of this up.
Right.
But it is so...
But why wouldn't they be worried about the younger children catching it
and
spreading? But you still have students that are going to get it and spread it. The whole thing's dumb. It doesn't make any sense.
That's why.
Stupid.
Because we're going to bring out the information as we go on here, as we go along. No, the younger you get, the more less likely, not even that you're going to get it, that you even spread.
Well, kids can't get it anyway.
Yes, they don't.
But they can can't they still have it in them and then spread it?
No, they don't. There's even
I thought they just
most
get, like,
of the
symptoms
studies
of it.
now, even if they have.
But then they're going to get the flu. Little Timmy's going to get the flu, have a fever. The school's going to shut down because everyone's going to panic.
Well, because they're going to do temperature if they ever go back to school, they got to have temperature checks. So if you have a temperature check, and let's say you don't, let's just say that's a great point. let's just say you got
I
the
know,
normal
I'm brilliant, huh?
Yes.
I know.
Because when they go back to school,
Hear that?
well, they start in, now mid-August, but September. October is when flu season. October to March is flu season.
Right.
So come October, let's say whatever strain of the flu is, which always comes around every year, which usually is a cold, fever. You have the fever, everybody gets, like you say, Timmy or Danielle are in there, and they get, it starts spreading through the schools because flus and fevers and colds spread through kids like that.
Right.
I mean, they just like go, pfft. I mean, first kid brings it in 3 days, every kid in the school is, and probably half the staff are infected with whatever fevers, cough, whatever's going on. But that's part of the deal. So you come in, you have they're taking your temperature coming in. So you come in, the normal fever virus is coming in, take your temperature, it's 99.8 or whatever. Okay, next kid comes in, it's boom, 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 boom. We got like 8 out of 10 of them are that.
Right.
Everybody's going home. We're done, even though it's just a regular flu. This is the insanity of we're going that, because coronavirus works exactly the opposite. It affects the older people, as
Right.
we have seen. This virus, because it's not technically a flu or a cold, it does not affect younger kids. It's like they tried to equate this with the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918 that was catastrophic. But that was going through it started in the younger population. It was killing off people that were in their teens, 20s, 30s, probably kids. But I mean, most of the ones that were dying were like from 20 to 40, I think, back then. This virus has no correlation to the 19 to 18, the Hong Kong flu of 68, or pretty much anything else we've ever dealt with on this. So if you're not clear what GovGav was on, because he was kind of skirting around the whole thing,
Yeah.
he didn't.
It was very confusing.
Because we're going to play a video of what parents are going to do. But a lot of parents have been talking about, well, I'm going to move my kids to a charter school, a private school, on that. So a reporter asked him the question, does your mandate include public and private schools? So here is what GovGav said.
Hi, Governor. Can you just clarify, this is a order or a recommendation, and can you clarify this is public as well as private schools, or just public schools, and does it affect universities?
Yeah, public, private, university guidelines we are working on. Basically done. I'm socializing between us with the new incoming president of the UC system that's now transferring over. I want to make sure I don't put anything out as he's about to come on board, but we've been working overtime for our CSUs and UCs, community colleges, very, very collaboratively, and so that guideline will be coming out very shortly. As it relates to your question about public, private, it includes public and private, and yes, as it relates to the stipulations that we put forth in our budget for public education, the criteria and the statutory language, the hold harmless agreements, and other relevant information that was put forth, adopted by the legislature and signed by me. It puts this in the form of a mandate.
Okay, right there. You go across that, and that goes perfectly in the little vignette you had at the beginning of that. All he had to say was, yes, this includes public and private schools, and this is a mandate by me. He went on for about a minute and a half with a bunch of gobbledygook, this and that, and yada yada yada. When that was it, yes, he could have made that clear at the beginning, which he didn't. So the reporter, we got to get that guy's name because he was on the ball, one of them that asked a pertinent question of that. And yes, it includes all public, private schools in the state of California. And yes, I did mandate it. Next question. That's all you needed. You didn't need all that other horse bleep that he went through on the whole deal. That's why I said, I mean, what office are you running for? Because you got this stuff down.
Me?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Saying.
You want to sponsor me?
Talking a lot on. talking and saying nothing, and that's exactly.
It's like what you do the whole time. It's like your every show.
Well, I learned it from these guys.
I'm just kidding.
Like you're learning it from them. Now, this is a reason. This is a reason why we're doing this. And this is a Channel 2 report coming on the deal. But this is from CBS 2. Some people think that I'm crazy, but parents move out of the state, change schools to get kids back in classrooms for the fall. Look at what parents, the extremes, you're going to hear what they're going to go through to get their kids back in class and get a proper education. Here we go.
Academically, some are taking extreme measures.
Yeah, one mother, in fact, is moving her children to another state now. Wow. KCAL 9's Christine Lazar shows us why.
Elena Gerasimova works full-time at a dental office, and when schools shut down in March, she struggled to help her two sons keep up with their schoolwork.
I would come home around 6:30, and that's when whatever homework they didn't do, I have to either explain or correct or do one of those.
She says the boys struggle too, especially 9-year-old Mika.
He shut down. He said, Mom, I think I don't know anything. So his confidence dropped so much.
When Gerasimova learned LAUSD will not be returning to campus in August, she decided to do something extreme and move her boys to Tennessee, to a town she lived in years ago. The schools there are planning a return to campus, but it would mean that they would have to leave her husband and their father behind.
Some people will think that I'm crazy, do this big move for a kid, but a lot of people see it differently.
Alexis White.
There you go. Now, this mom is so just out of her mind about this stuff, and her kids are suffering, shutting down because they're not learning. She's willing to drop everything, move to Tennessee so her kids can get an education on that. And
so she's leaving her husband and the dad behind.
Yeah, because he's got a job, whatever,
Right.
probably. So for the income, he probably doesn't have a job in Tennessee. So she's got to pack up, move the kids to Tennessee so they
That's
can get into
crazy.
a class. This is what people are going
I mean,
through.
but good for you, Mom. But that's.
But what else are you going to do? Now you can't even put your kids in a private or a charter school to get them into learning.
But how many states are shutting down like we are? Are we the only state that's
As
shutting
far
down and not
as
going back to public school?
basically eliminating the schools, yeah.
Really?
As far as not letting kids, well, I think New York is doing this too, has been shut down the schools. A lot of them are, but most of them, and the Trump administration, what we'll get to, has been advocating for getting them back into schools. But more along the lines of that, like what you've been saying, and I'm sure a lot of the parents you've been talking to has been saying, that it's that they're saying this has been a complete freaking disaster.
Yeah.
And the damage we've been doing to our kids, especially our young kids, because they're never going to get this time back, and probably into, especially from up to the third, I'm going to say to 8 or 9 or 10. That is your most formative learn.
Right.
You learn like 90% of what you're ever going to learn in your first 10 years. And you're cutting these kids back that are in that. You can't make this stuff up. And it's bad enough we've done it, for 4 months now? Now, who knows? It's indefinitely. There's no real run. They're going to come up with some sort of excuse of why we can't go back in September, October, November, December, or whatever. You can just see they're just stepping you on the pike. Each, they just, okay, we'll step you into that, get you used to that, and then we'll just keep ratcheting this thing up.
I'm so depressed. I mean, I don't know. To move out of state, that's a huge, huge commitment. I applaud her for that. I think that's great. That she's, providing that for her children. But kids need to go back to school. Like I've always said, they learn from each other. A kid learns from a kid. That's how they're going to develop their personality and know right from wrong. I mean, they need all that. Plus, parents aren't teachers. I mean, I can't give my kids the education they need, and I know that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll be copying her and moving.
Sweden's health agency says opening schools did not spur pandemic spread among children. Stockholm, Sweden, out of Reuters. Sweden's decision to keep schools open during during the pandemic resulted in no higher rate of infection among its school children than in neighboring Finland, where schools did temporarily close, but their public health agencies said in a joint statement. Sweden decided to forego hard lockdowns and keep most schools open and business open throughout the COVID-19 outbreak, and a divisive strategy that set it apart from Europe. So we're back on the deal. So Sweden did not. They did close some high schools, but they kept all the elementary schools open on that. And even people are saying, well, less deaths were in Finland because they let lockdown and whatever on that. But in a joint statement between Finland and Sweden, the schools being open or closed did not have any difference. That's why Finland they only closed them for 2 weeks and opened them back up. They've had no problem
2 weeks
with
the
that.
entire time this
Yeah,
has been
back
going
in
on?
the early days of when this started.
Like back in February?
Yeah, back in March and April. They started with it, closed them down, then said, no, we don't need to close the schools down. They opened them back up.
How's Italy doing? Are they back?
I
'Cause
don't
I know
know.
they got hit
Italy
the
was
hardest,
a disaster.
didn't they?
But this is a comparative deal, and there were more deaths in Sweden on COVID because they didn't get a control of the nursing homes. People are going to say it on the mask and social distancing, but their contention is that. But irregardless of that, notwithstanding that, on that deal, you go across that and say, here you go. There's two countries, even though the death rate in the elderly was more in Sweden than it was in Finland, opening or closing the schools had no effect. So where is the science or the data that Gavin Newsom or any of these others are running for closing down the schools? Tell me. There's real-world studies. There's real-world science. As we can see what happened, there is no justification that coronavirus is going to spread wildly if schools are open, no matter what.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't comprehend it. I don't see where they're thinking that shutting it down is going to help. I mean, I get it in a way because they have the staff and all that.
You're getting out of the picture.
I know. I'm going back and forth.
You're surfing on the.
I am. It's Friday. We keep things fun. Why not, right? I wish they would open back up, but I did get a message from somebody saying that our superintendent did put out a message, which I'm waiting to get my hands on, as to the future for the students here in Moreno Valley. Which seems like...
Well, it really doesn't matter at this point. They're closed as it is.
Yeah. Well, can't the district override?
No.
Why?
Because he said it's a mandate statewide. He can, under his emergency powers as a statewide health official, he can close them down.
Really?
We just played it. He said it's a mandate.
I wasn't keeping up. We've had a lot of comments.
Public
Thank you,
and
everyone that's
private
commenting
schools closed in almost all of California.
Jim writes in, it's all East Coast, West Coast power trip.
There you go.
And then Joseph also writes in, it's for the money.
We've never made a successful vaccine of coronavirus before. This is why this is so difficult. For those pinning their hopes on a COVID-19 vaccine to return to life to normal, an Australian expert in vaccine development has a reality check. It probably won't happen soon. The reality is this particular coronavirus is posing challenges that scientists haven't dealt with before, according to Ian Fraser, University of Queensland. Professor Fraser was involved in the successful development of vaccines, yada, yada, yada. He's an epidemiologist. Again, the headlines are on the deal. On the deal, they have never developed a vaccine for coronavirus ever.
Now, my kids aren't going to get that vaccine. There's no way I'm going to put that in my children or myself. I probably won't even let you get it, to be honest. So then what?
Well, I've said this.
I had a friend that had a good point, though. You're not going to be able to buy anything.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to go anywhere. You're going to have like a tracking device in you. No, that's not happening.
Well, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's unfolding.
No, that I'm not.
It is unfolding.
How do you get away with that, though?
They
can't do that. They can't make you put something in your body.
Yes. They can't.
They're trying.
They can't make you do that, but you said exactly right. They're going to say, if your kids are not vaccinated, they're not coming to school.
That's fine.
If you're again, you want to come into the government building, you want to go into the grocery store, whatever, yada, 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 you cannot go in there without. Look at what Walmart and all these companies are doing. They're mandating masks even all across the country, even though where there's not mask mandating. You can see the steps are going on. They're good. They're walking you into this control. That's why this November election is going to be very, 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 very important. The only way you're going to stem this tide is start voting these goofballs like Newsom and our ultra goofy state legislature that's been passing these laws, and you come back down to our city councils, county boards, school boards, and everything else. I mean, even though Temecula, Murrieta, I think and Riverside schools were doing it. Some of them, Murrieta, Temecula, Corona, Norco, we're going to open up full school. Whatever. You want to come into class, you want to do that, you want to do online schooling, you want to do a hybrid of it, we're going to work with you doing that. That's all out the table.
Lucy writes in, as long as we're on the watch list, we will continue distance learning. And I think that's probably in relation to the message that went out from our superintendent this afternoon, which you will post later. I'll get you that. And then Jim writes in, wake up, Steph. I'm trying.
You are. You are waking up on the deal, which is.
Mandy, I think it was. The comment went away. She wrote in, why is that including private schools? Why is this including?
You'll have to ask Gab why he's doing. Because so that's what I think. Because a lot of here's my, I obviously I can't ask Gab, but this is my opinion. The teachers' unions from the California Teachers Association, Marina Valley Educators Association, or whatever ones are on there, have been steadfast. Corona Norco ones were out there. They've been protesting every opening of the school everywhere. I've not seen a teachers' union yet that didn't protest opening. They're doing it under the safety and yada yada, and we're scared, which there's no credible evidence that we can protect the teachers that are in there. And if you're really that concerned, well, we'll make you the distance learning teacher if you don't want to run in a class. Fine and dandy, we'll figure this out. No, they've been steadfast against this because, as you've seen and as we've pointed out before on some of this stuff, parents are increasingly, we're saying, okay, if the schools are not opening up, we're going to put our kids in charter schools, private schools, or whatever we have to do. Or as that lady did, she's got to flying her kids and moving to Tennessee just so she can get her kids into class because they're not learning anything.
Right.
And so they cooked this thing up. That's why I think they planned this and run it on Saturday. They wanted to see a trial balloon or see where everybody was going. So when Newsom made his mandate of this, that's why he threw in, and he was trying to slide through it until the reporter put him on point blank on this thing you're going to be on this thing for public and private schools. So, okay, now you can't do it because this is where they got the problem. They're going to base their attendance on schools on what was happening last year instead of like they do now. They took attendance every day and they got a check mark. Okay, Johnny or Janie's in school. Okay, Timmy's in school. You get the credit for that to get paid on per day. They get paid per day for how many students are in there per day.
Right.
So now they maneuvered this little thing. But if people started pulling their schools, let's just say 20 or 30% pulled their kids out of schools to get them into private schools, charter schools, or whatever,
right,
then how are they going to justify paying even with their distance learning at a 70% rate of what they were doing last year, but their schools are still getting the full amount?
I don't know.
So
they're going to have to do it by whoever logs in on.
So they're cutting this deal like this with the teachers union. So now you can't move your kid to a charter school or a private school on that unless you pay 100% of the freight yourself. You can't take your voucher or whatever, or your $7,500 a year, which the school gets if you attend on that you can go to the deal and go and go to a charter school or whatever on that. I think that's the strategy behind this.
Now, do I get to get paid as a teacher?
No.
Since I'm going to be teaching I'm going to have 4 students.
Nope.
Why? Can we open our own school?
That's if you could
Anyone want to enroll your kid in my school? Good luck.
If you could, but the only place you could do it is move up to Northern California in one of the non-lockdown counties. to do that.
Joseph writes in, I like this comment. I want to read it out. I gave corona vaccines to our dogs for 20 years, mandatory by law. They tested on our dogs first. I am a vet. What do you think of that?
There you go. So here you go. Here's the next one on distance learning.
You're not going to comment on
Taking
that?
too much of everybody's time. I have strong opinions about that positivity rate, but I'll let Dr. Galley express his first. But look, as it relates to providing time, we've been at this for months now. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. We ended our school year last year with the expectation of providing distance learning. We worked with a lot of the districts to share best practices, to work through a lot of issues. So this is not sprung on people. This is not a shock just a few weeks before the school year. Now, the expectation that we're doing in all the monitoring counties obviously renews a sense of focus as it relates to distance learning, but the frame around distance learning broadly has been socialized over the course of many, many months here in the state of California, exampled by the work we did at the end of the year last year to provide more devices, to provide more points of connectivity, and also exampled, and I think you can appreciate this, by the fact that some of our state's largest school districts have already moved forward to distance learning. And
So key points on that. And Joe, it doesn't matter what you say or think or anybody else. Look at that. What he said, telegraphing this. Late last year, they were planning this. That means 2019 before we ever heard of COVID. You come into this and then now listen to what he said in that.
Good pickup.
Of that. And he's doing that. And yeah, we've been planning this and we've been working it on the distance learning and everything else. What did Roy say when this does? Said you
1 minute
about schools as you knew them. I said they're good. They just found the way to get rid of the pension problem, the overblowing, and the potential bankrupt of practically all the school districts, which was coming because they can't pay the pensions or the salaries or it's on an unsustainable path. They've been working on this a long time. Listen to what the governor says, listen carefully to what he says. They telegraph this stuff. It's called hiding in plain sight. But most people
30
don't
seconds.
get that on what we're doing
Hi, Sean.
on the stuff.
Hi, Stephanie. How are
So this is what, this thing has been.
Oh, my God.
Yes, a beetle was down in my shirt.
Oh, my God.
All right, here we go.
My crew is panicking because there was a beetle down in my shirt that I let
and
out.
download your free phone app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Thank God it's Friday.
Man, did I panic my whole crew. Did the beetle fly outside? I had to go shut the door on that. We'll see if he finally made it out on the whole deal on that, as you see everybody on that. Those of you that are joining us on the Mighty Met 1490 KMT, where we come through every live at 5:30 every Monday through Friday on that, you're gonna have to go back and watch the videotape that we do on IE Newswire live on that on Facebook.
And make sure you go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe and like button so that way you get prompted every time we go live.
And watch the first segments from Makeup with Stephanie, which is an exclusive on YouTube. But get down to the bottom of the half hour where the break was coming on. Because the aforementioned reason why everybody's cracking up.
Where the hell did that come from?
Well, I don't know, but a beetle flew down my shirt. I'm feeling this da-da-da-da-da. Something's in there. Yada, yada, yada. So, Roy, and did I just completely keep talking and going on like I normally do? Oh, we got a snort. So I got it, whatever it was. And I pulled it out and threw it out. And that involved mass panic between Stephanie and engineer Jesse going on. As it's flying all over.
This
It's
huge
a
thing
beetle.
comes flying out of up your shirt and you're just nonchalant like there goes dinner.
Yes. Well, what's a day? I mean, it's a beetle.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever took a string and tied a leg around him and flew him?
No, I'm too scared of him.
So, I mean, what? It's a beetle. What the heck? I'm feeling this.
The crap you do sometimes.
And I'm looking, and I know it's
like I'm envious of that you're just like, whatever. There's a thing down my shirt. I would run into a wall.
I bet you would.
I have before. I cracked my head open. It was horrible.
Yeah, I bet you'd bowl me over trying to get away from the stupid thing.
I'm surprised I didn't.
Well, if it was crawling down you, it probably would have.
I would have had a freaking heart attack.
On that.
That would have gone.
So that's the lighthearted stuff for the day. We're going to have Gino Manzerres from Perris Speedway on a little bit, talk about some of the lighter things. But as we've been discussing on that, and even more important, why you should go over in that, we're discussing the latest, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The latest terror reign from Gov. Newsom on that.
Circus show?
Yeah, circus sideshow that's basically locked down the schools. No schools in Southern California and probably most of the state are not opening on the school year. We've been going through the videos of that and that. And you think you're going to get your kid out? You think you're going to put him in a charter school or private school? You lock those down too.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
I'm telling you, I'm going to open a school.
Of that. No, I think a lot of people are. It's
Can I hire the teachers that should be teaching my kids at school to teach my kids at home?
Yeah.
There we go.
There's going to be. We played a video from a lady who's in Los Angeles at CBS 2 had. She's flying and moving her kids and her to Tennessee because their kids aren't learning. Dad's going to have to stay here in SoCal because that's where their income comes from. This is the amount or the measures that parents are going for this. I want to play, we played the 3 videos from Newsom in that one, but I want to play this video coming up on that. This is on the distance learning, more of that. Here we go.
The fact is many others followed suit in the last few days. And so you have dozens and dozens and dozens of districts that already are moving down this path. And so from that perspective, I think the opportunity for these districts to prepare and opportunity to use the resources that we made available weeks and weeks ago in the budget avail themselves, I think, very favorably. Though, again, I am not naive. You'll invariably find a district that doesn't want any mandate, and certainly not this mandate, that obviously may express a different point of view. But we are working through 1,000 plus districts in this state, and we're working through a scale no other state in the country.
There you go. Of that.
See, he made it sound so confusing. Like,
yes.
At the beginning of it, he gave hope. Like, me and some other people were listening to it.
Of
was
course.
Like, all right, well, if they go back, then this is what we're going to do. That's fine. If you want to put regulations on it, at least they get to go back to school. But then to be like, oh, no, never mind.
That's why I played that set.
Just kidding.
That's why I put that up. So I gave you the clip of before we were looking at how they were planning this last year. No school district has not been on this path for the past few weeks. Why do you think this announcement came up? Because it's going to be, in a month, most schools were going to be open. If
Less
they were
than that. My kids were counting down the days till they got to go back to school. Now I got to be like,
and
not
that,
going.
well, yeah, you got to make preparation.
Mom's your teacher again.
You just don't walk in tomorrow and say, yeah, the school's open. They got to do all the preparations for that, like the Rose Parade and everything else. So it's getting down to the point where either schools got to make a decision that they were going to open for the 2020-2021 school year or not. So this basically took it out of their hands for the most part on what we're doing on that. So that's what I say. It doesn't matter. They've been setting this stuff up, but you got to read between the lines of what's going on. Last clip I'm going to play on the schools. This is Linda Darling Hammond. She's a special education expert on the State Board of Education for special ed kids. If you think you're exempt from this, here you go.
That question, and we're very concerned about meeting the needs of the full range of students. All of the districts have been aware that they need to have capacities for distance learning and begin to adapt what they're doing for students with special needs. We will have standards and guidance, further standards and guidance coming out over the coming week. But in the meanwhile, a lot of the districts and county offices have been developing resources, many of them targeted for students with special education needs, curriculum, and plans for how teachers will be able to do one-on-one as well as small group instruction, whether it's in person or online.
There you go. Even if you got special needs kids, they've been planning this. They got the plans in place. You ain't going back to school.
But I mean, it's good, like you said before, like we should have had this planned a long time ago. So it's good that we'll have a foundation for that for the future, because this is going to keep happening. But I have a family member who says that her son is actually learning a lot better since being at home than he was at school. Which is a great thing. I mean, every student is different. My kids personally aren't gonna. Well, one loves being at home because he's a homebody, but my other three are like.
I always said this. I mean, I learned I had learned most of the stuff at home or through my experiences before I got to school. So yeah, there is a case or some if you're in an environment, but I was in a vastly different environment than most kids grow up in. I mean, I was out and about. I mean, I was treated like a adult from the time I was born.
Right.
So I could get that in my case, but you cannot take the case of a person like Roy or the experiences I had and develop that across the whole enchilada. That is not going to work. Even though personally, like I said, most of the time going to school was a waste of my time because I already knew what the heck they were doing. As my teachers,
he's so brilliant.
My teachers were saying,
he was teaching the teachers.
Yes, I was teaching the teachers. So,
shut up.
So, what can I say? So when you go,
can you
across
come and teach my kids then?
Yes.
Oh no, never mind. I can't believe it. I take that back. We don't have record of that. Can you burn the tapes, please?
No, it's of what we're going. Want to get to this quick before we bring Gino Manzerres on the deal. Cue me up on 4. CDC directors keeping schools closed poses a greater health threat to children than reopening. This is from The Hill on that. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention CDC Director Robert Redford said Thursday that health officials' risk of keeping schools closed are greater than those of opening them, and amid a push by President Trump to have students in the classroom this fall. Quoting Robert Redfield, I am to the point of view that as public health leader in the nation, that having schools actually closed is a greater public health threat to children than having schools reopen, Redfield told The Hill's Steve Clements. What else do you need to do? So according to the CDC director nationally, what Gavin Newsom is doing more harm to kids than putting them into schools. It's a risk.
Why wouldn't the governor be listening to that?
Because it's not about what's best for your kids. It's about them having control.
I just don't get why someone would want to do that. I don't comprehend that. Joseph writes in, Roy is very brilliant and morally sound individual.
Wow.
Joseph, how much did he pay you to say that? I'm on to you, buddy. I'm on to you.
No, it is.
No, you are. You called it from the beginning, and it really pisses me off that I have to say that. We're burning the tapes after the show. There's going to be no record of me saying that.
No, it is.
Why were you right?
I can't help it. No, it is. And really, I'm hoping that there will be a mass exodus. And I really do think it is. I think it is really time, and I've said that. It probably is time to really reform our school system. probably start charter schools. We should probably do a massive deal and really work on this, because
They should just build one house, like in a community, and that be like the community school.
there you go.
But then that's boring, though, because then you have so many other people that you're not going to meet that's all around you.
We're going to lighten up the topic.
Like our next guest.
Yes, we're going to lighten up the topic a little bit on that, because it is a Fast Friday, as we usually do. And one guy that's really fast has been fast in the SoCal Speedway circuit for many, many, many years, if not decades. We're going to have him on. They're actually going to be racing again at Perris Speedway, the speedway track on the west end of town, on that. And to tell us what's happening out there this Saturday night at Perris Speedway, we have famed rider Gino Manzerres on the phone. You're on IE Newswire Daily with Stephanie Roy. Welcome in, Gino.
How are you guys? Good to be on.
Absolutely fantastic. Amongst all this other crazy stuff, and we won't get into the
Bring
politics.
us some fun.
Yes.
And get Roy to stop talking.
Yes, and among this, at least there's one bright spot in SoCal. At least we have some racing coming back and some entertainment coming back. And tell us what's happening Saturday night out at Perris Speedway.
So this Saturday night, we're having our first of many team matches going on. So there's myself and Max Rummel that were nominated to be the captains. And so from a rider's pool, we each went dodgeball style on picking our teams. And so now we're going to have an 8-on-8 little match team racing going on. So it'll be 2 riders from each team in each heat race. And it's the same point scoring system. First place who gets 3 points, second place 2 points, third place 1 point, no points for fourth. And then basically after 13 heats, you're going to see which teams have the top points. And then the top 4 riders and points are going to battle it out for individual main event.
So explain to them a little bit from the normal 16-rider speedway event that they would see most across the time in California. Explain to the difference between team racing and what they would normally see on a speedway track all across SoCal.
So normally we're like, this is kind of simulating like the British League racing that a few of us have done overseas before. So with team racing, you have 7 to 8 riders per team. And like I said, so normally you would have 4 riders, individual riders racing each other and seeing who can just take it. But with team racing, you got to be like a lot more like strategy wise and team ride with your partners and realize like a second and third is just the same as a first place. So it's more of a strategy at the end of the day. So team racing is basically just the new wave of racing, what is all over Europe right now, and we're trying to bring it back to America. So it's going to be a great show.
It is, and on a normal,
like a lot of fun.
on a normal Saturday night, you versus Brock Nickel or Max or who anybody out there, you're all racing individually. You're just concentrating on your bike and this. But this is more like you would say like a baseball game or a basketball or football game. You got to depend, if one of your team members lets you down or whatever, it's going to affect the whole thing. So it puts a lot different strategy in it than when you're just racing for your own, as an individual and competing against the other riders.
100%. Individually is great. But this team racing brings out a lot more in us. It actually teaches you how to actually work with somebody on the track and be a lot more aware of what's going on. Like you said, when we're racing individually, it's just head down and go for it and not really worrying about everyone else. But when you have a teammate out there and you realize, man, if my guy stays on the inside and I stay on the outside, we can kind of make a wall and block these guys. So that's where the whole team aspect comes in hand. And, yeah, like you said, if one person's not scoring, it's going to let the whole team down. But at the end of the day, it's just the experience of having these type of situations, these type of events.
We're talking with Gino Manzerres. He's a speedway rider for many years out in California. And if those of you watching on our video cast on IE Newswire, you're seeing some pictures of him up there now on that. Stephanie, you got anything for Gino?
I'm excited. Are we allowed to come out and watch it?
Yeah, we can because we're members of the media. That's one thing.
But, yeah,
let's
cover that really quick.
You can't come out and watch it, but you can. I think it's on low-budget TV. You can watch the show and I think it's $15. You can watch the show on pay-per-view on Saturday night. Is that correct, Gino?
Yep, you got it. That's the thing. It's been going on. The Low Budget's been broadcasting Perris Raceway for a little bit now, so it's really cool, especially with all this stuff going on. It does make it a cool way to sit back and watch. So basically, right now, you're going to get the only sports you're going to watch is MMA and Speedway. So nothing wrong with that.
Yes,
exactly. And you get to do it at home, too, so you can have some friends over, pop open some cold ones.
Well, let's not get into the whole thing of that.
Why can't we have friends over?
Oh, that's part of the deal on that. But we're
not allowed to be around people now?
Yes, that's part of the whole.
All right, well, then you can hang out by yourself.
But it is important, and you know, this is one of the last vestiges we got, so we would encourage everybody to go with their family members that are inside the house, because we don't want to start no controversies on that, especially with Gino on that. But buy the $15 on the pay-per-view and support these guys, because Gino can tell you, man, it costs a lot of money for these guys to go out and put on the show and the promoters to put it on. And this is, if they don't make any revenue since they aren't having fans in the stands, this is the only way the track and the riders can get some revenue in to keep the sport going.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. You're hitting it right on the head. It's one thing that it's a great opportunity what we have. A lot of people are taking it with the situations we have and are a little bummed out, but at the end of the day, we just got to put that behind our minds and just keep progressing forward in whatever we want to do. Like, if this is what we have to do for now, then we got to do it, but it won't be forever. So hope this is all.
Yes. We're all hoping for that. But yeah, and I think it is important, no matter where you're sitting on the fence on this deal, to support the guys that are actually putting on a show out there and stuff, so we don't lose this thing 100%. And you actually get to see guys that would be normally riding, like Brock Nickel or Luke Becker, who would be team racing back in Europe. They're out here in the summertime where they normally wouldn't be, and you're going to see them, on the pay-per-view tomorrow night at Perris Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Brock and Luke are still doing their team racing, and then Max and I just got back from a season or two ago, and there's a few of us out there that are already used to the team racing and riding over there, so it's just going to help mix it up a lot more. And it's great to have Luke and Brock down, especially how it just makes these meetings so much better, because now you really do have the best of the United States can bring out.
There you go. Are Luke and Brock on separate teams, or did they gang up on one?
No, so Max and I and Steve were on a three-way call, and we flipped coins. So first person goes first. So I chose Luke, and then Max went Brock and Dylan, his little brother. Then I went Austin, Russell, and then we went back and forth 2 for 2, and we got our team. So it looks pretty. It's going to be a lot of fun, no matter what.
So you kind of did it. You kind of did it like back in the old days when we were kids, and you were picking the football team, and everybody's lined up, and the two captains picking just guys out. Okay, you get this one, next one, da da da. That's kind of how you made up the teams. I'm reckoning.
Yeah, especially the fact that all the riders, all 16 riders that are going to be racing are all very fast and intelligent out there. So it's gonna, no matter who's on whose team, it's gonna be great racing, and it's great racing for the fans too.
It is. It's a stellar field of 16 riders out there Saturday night on that. We've got the link up on there on the video on that, and we'll post the link in the comment section.
I did put the link in the comment for the www.lowbudget.tv. Make sure you go on there and support our local racers and racetrack, because they're our favorite.
Yes, these guys. We need to support everybody we can on that. Like I said, we don't want to lose what we have, and then if we ever do get back to normal operations, we want to make sure these guys are coming back full tilt and even stronger and better. So, got about a minute left. Tell them, Gino, why they should buy the broadcast on Low Budget TV tomorrow night and watch how you guys ride.
There's literally no better racing than Speedway motorcycle racing. This is literally single-cylinder 4-stroke engines with no brakes, riding 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. You have 4 of us elbow to elbow for 4 laps straight. There's not another motorsport out here like this. with this close of racing. So you guys need to really tune in, and you're up for something special.
You got it. You're a great ambassador for the sport, Gino, and maybe we'll slide out there and check it out, but I hope everybody subscribes to the pay-per-view, support our racers, and good luck for your team out there Saturday night.
Have fun.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Bye.
There you go. That was Gino Manzerres. He'll be racing. He'll be the team captain of one of the teams, along with Mad Max Rummel out there, captain of the other team out there. Another very famous and top flight rider from Southern California. And like we said, Luke Becker and Brock Nickel, which would be racing in Europe at this time, are still out here because they're shut down on that. So it's a stellar field out there, and I'm sure if you buy the pay-per-view, you will not be disappointed.
Definitely, you won't be. So, since you can't have friends over, when did that happen?
Didn't you been paying attention that,
Have we covered that?
You will kill your
no,
mother.
I know they say you're
going
to kill everyone that's around you if they come to your house, but I thought it's not like mandated, is it? Are we on lockdown like that again? Do I need to go buy toilet paper? I still can't find Clorox wipes anywhere. Does anyone have any I can, borrow? The house is a mess. I'm so serious. You can buy toilet paper now. That's good. But for now.
Watch out for the, if you see a mad-looking little female walking around in the cleaning section, stay out of her way. How's that? No, it's crazy. You saw the.
But I thought that you could still. I didn't know that. No, you can still have people over. They just recommend that you stay at like a 6 minimum.
No, we're in the lockdown zone. Where the stuff supposedly we're all going to die.
I didn't hear that, so I don't know. News to me, but I don't believe it. So.
That's
Who
why
wants to come over and watch the race tomorrow? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
We're kidding. We're not disseminating any information that would get you in trouble with the law. Even though
you can't get in trouble with the law if you have people over at your house.
Even the law is stupid at this particular point.
Can you really not have people over at your house?
Technically, yes.
No.
You're not supposed to be associating with anybody that's not in your household.
Really? We're back to that again? This is why I don't pay attention, because then when something bad...
Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. That's why I hate coming on this show. And I tune you out while you're talking, so people... This is why I'm so... I don't listen half the time we talk, if y'all didn't notice. I read your comments, though. Jim's beginning to be my biggest fan, wondering what the hell's wrong with me. That's all right. You'll learn to love me.
Oh, man.
Joseph writes in, it's not illegal. Thank you.
I agree but hopefully we'll have Mark Moisier
But
on.
no, I know how people are.
Or that he's been suing across all this stuff, and I agree, but the courts have been ruling against us. The whole system's freaking corrupt.
I didn't know.
The whole system.
When the hell did that happen?
They're walking. It's like the
Thanks, Joseph.
Royism 101. When the rules don't fit, change your rules. Or the number one rule of tyrants and dictators. Same thing. When the rules don't fit, change the rules. They just make them up. They don't care what the law is. They just if it gets in the way of their mandate or dictates or whatever, they just say the hell with that, and we're just going to do what we want.
I don't know. See, I'm just going back under my rock. I was way happier under there. Really. Is that why people have been wearing masks
until that June bug flies out of the rock and you panic.
That thing was huge.
Oh, God. It was crawling in me.
I don't know. I know. How long has he been hanging out inside your shirt?
It was back there about a minute or so. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on back there?
No. You brought him from outside, and you've been sitting in this seat since 4:30.
Well, whatever. But no, I felt maybe he was just trying. I mean, I felt him right there by my collar.
I think
maybe
Joseph
he was trying
actually
to
called
get
you Beetlejuice. That's your new nickname. Beetlejuice. It's friggin' perfect.
On that.
I didn't even realize.
Go get the broadcast. Enjoy Paris. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
And we are gone.
You can't hang out with anyone.